All right, so here's a video that I didn't think I was going to be making today, but the news of the day has sort of dictated the schedule. It's always nice to log on to Twitter and see a headline where you can go, oh, I can create content about that. That's excellent. The content just produces itself. All you got to do is hit record some days. So anyway, news of the day, reports from The Athletic, and then I originally saw this tweet by Bleacher Report, and it looks like the writing is on the wall, and there is a schism between Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. And it sounds like Russell Wilson is disappointed with the direction of the team, the fact that he has had little to no say in how they are going to continue forward. And he also made a point earlier on I forget what podcast or what show it was, that he's just tired of getting hit because the team refuses to address the offensive line. That sounds really familiar. What other team does that? But why is this worth discussing, and what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, number one, I think this throws a wrench into the market in terms of trading for quarterbacks, and we're about to see the wildest offseason, I think, imaginable. And it's already sort of flown under the radar with the Stafford-Goff trade and the Wentz trade. So I was of the opinion that after the Wentz trade, things would sort of calm down, reset, expectations would lower. The Stafford-Goff trade, 2 first-round picks, that sort of got everybody's senses really super heightened. And then Wentz getting traded for a conditional second that could eventually become a first was more realistic. Now, I think all bets are off, because if you take a look at the current landscape, Russell Wilson approached the Seahawks talking about a trade, and he mentioned his camp, or his agent mentioned a number of teams, including the Raiders, the Saints, and I believe the Jets. And there was one other one, but I forget, but I'll put it on the screen. And I think I speak for all Vikings fans when I say anybody but the Saints, please. No, just no. Just that can't be allowed to happen. And I think it's a good thing that they're in the salary cap situation that they're in, because they would probably be pursuing this. So I think the Saints are probably off the table. At least I hope so. Hopefully I'm not jinxing that. But I think that this complicates things, honestly, because Deshaun Watson is still out there. The Texans say that they're not doing it, but I think they're lying. According to reports that we're seeing every day, the Texans are just ignoring phone calls and, requests and discussions about Deshaun Watson, just sending everybody straight to voicemail, if you will, which is criminal in and of itself, because you're in a position to sort of set your franchise up for the next, X number of years with the amount of draft capital that you could get in a Deshaun Watson trade. And they just absolutely refuse to do it, which is just outright stubbornness by executives who think they're the smartest guys in the room. And then you throw Russell Wilson into the mix. Suddenly that kind of does the Texans a favor, where they are no longer, the focus of trade talks, because Russell Wilson is now potentially available. And I think for the grand scheme of things, sort of to bring this back to, our little corner of the NFL or the NFL community here, is how does this affect the Vikings? Well, I don't think the Vikings can realistically go get Russell Wilson. I don't think Russell Wilson would want to come to Minnesota, because it sounds like the Seahawks are sort of doing the same thing that the Vikings are doing. We want to run the football. We don't want to turn it over, and we want to, play good defense. And if you look at what happened during the season, where we started off in the first half with Russell Wilson, what was the slogan? Let Russ cook. He was having an MVP caliber season. It all came crashing down in November. He had a four turnover game against the Bills. I believe the next week or the week after that, he had a game where he committed 3 turnovers, and then they just sort of moved away from having Russell Wilson be the focal point of the offense. They changed what they were doing, ended up not making the playoffs. The team just wasn't in a good position to do much down the stretch. And I don't think Russell Wilson would want to come to Minnesota. We're in the middle of rebuilding a defense. The offensive line, in terms of pass protection, is terrible. The offensive philosophy is run first. I don't think he's going to want to do that. I honestly don't think. I think Minnesota is out of this conversation. But their division rival, Chicago, could definitely be in this conversation, having already missed out on Carson Wentz, and the Texans absolutely refusing to pick up the phone to discuss trades for Deshaun Watson. There is no scenario that I believe where Matt Nagy and Pace survive another season with Mitchell Trubisky as their starting quarterback, specifically since I think their seat is already pretty warm to begin with. So I think, now that Russell Wilson is potentially on the market, let's pretend he goes to a different team. Maybe you could get Derek Carr. Obviously, the Seahawks are going to want to be in a position to, if they do trade Russell Wilson, to get a starting caliber quality quarterback in return. Do the Bears have that currently on the roster? No, not in my opinion, unless you're, maybe Pete Carroll thinks that he could actually do something with Mitch Trubisky and he doesn't want to be throwing the ball 40 times a game anyway. Maybe he just needs a warm body with a pulse out there. But, it's concerning to me because the Bears are in the market for a quarterback. And we could be witnessing a situation where they either end up with Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson and have to deal with that for a number of years. All, especially specifically, this is probably the worst time for this to happen because we're hoping the defense gets better, right? The defense was terrible last year. We're hoping these guys come back from injury. There's all these question marks. So that is currently where we stand with the news of the day regarding Russell Wilson. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you make of this? Is he actually going to get traded? I think there's a realistic possibility that he does. I haven't looked into his contract or what the dead cap money would be. That's always a concern, especially with the salary cap coming down this year. It's been reported that it's probably going to be somewhere around 180 million or more. And with the carryover with the carryover in cap space, the Vikings, for example, would be at 4.5 million with carryover cap. So I think you're probably looking at, anywhere between 180 and 189 for a salary cap this year for a specific number of teams. And the big question is, who can afford it and who is going to surrender 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson? I don't think it's going to be Minnesota, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.